Okay, making another response video to BigLundi. He commented on my last video, and he quotes me. Says, "Went to your link, dude," and he says, "and ignored it." No, I didn't ignore it. I didn't ignore it. I actually quoted it. So, yeah. And you say motivational hedonism is part of what we're talking about. Well, now it is, now that you move the goalpost. Before we were talking about normative hedonism, which puts value on pleasure and disvalue on pain. So, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and I tried to explain why that's a straw man, and I found out there's more to your straw man. You've built it upon other fallacies. It's what I stated I didn't state what the fallacy exactly was, but I actually said that you're looking at hedonism and saying hedonism disvalues pain, and antinatalists disvalue pain. Therefore, antinatalists are hedonists. It's an association fallacy. And yeah, your link mentions the association fallacy, and it gives a link to the nitscore.org site, which gives a decent definition, but I went to good old Wikipedia where it has, I think, a better definition. And the association fallacy takes the form of premise A is a B. Premise A is also a C. Conclusion, therefore all B's are C's. And that's what you did. And they got an Euler diagram, actually, that kind of might be helpful. There we go. Okay, B, let's call that antinatalism. C would be hedonism. A is suffering sucks. Okay, just because both B and C say suffering sucks doesn't mean B is C. See, C over here, that's the hedonistic part, says pleasure has value. Over here, the antinatalist says pleasure has no value. So to say that B's are C's is a fallacy. Okay, going on. You say, what else on that page didn't? What else on that page you didn't read? But it doesn't matter. I've already shown that with your link that antinatalists can't be put in the same bucket. They can't be called hedonists. They just can't. You can't do it. It's a fallacy. And you're going to quote your Stanford page. On this view, our friendships, actions, and achievements, our states of understanding, insight, and character have only instrumental worth through the pleasure they cause or the pain they diminish. And that's under the normative hedonism. Read the whole link. No, I ain't going to read the whole link, okay? That sounds very much like we're getting into motivational hedonism there. I don't care if it's in the normative section. That's getting close. That's very much motivational hedonism right there. And you say, thank you for proving my point. You either don't know how to read or refuse to read. No, I know how to read. I mean, to stop being stupid. Yeah, I'm not going to read the whole damn thing. I've already shown that you're wrong on the hedonism part. Okay. Next comment. Quoting me. I am an antinatalist because it is wrong to put someone else in harm's way for your pleasure. And also, I went on to say, it's up to you to say why it's right to put someone in harm's way for your own pleasure, which you haven't really done yet. Well, you kind of have, and I'll get to that later. And then you say, you seriously can't see how that is quintessential definition of normative hedonistic consequentialism. That's exactly what it means. Well, it's not exactly what it means. Go back to the Euler diagram. They overlap, but it's, you know, antinatalist has taken a particular position. Also, I made it clear in my second video to Gary that I'm not saying you guys are hedonists so you fail. I even said exactly that in the video. I watched it again and I didn't see it where you said that. And as a matter of fact, you just said, I mean, how can you say that the antinatalist position is the normative hedonist consequentialism position and not say that we are hedonists? I don't know how you can get to that conclusion. So, yeah, again, we've established A, you don't know how to read, which we haven't established, since I'm reading this right now, and B, you don't listen to people. No, I do listen to you. Matter of fact, this is where I think, I got to thinking, you know, one of us is missing something here. So, there's one, in your first video, you said that the normative hedonistic consequentialism is insufficient to get to this conclusion the antinatalists have come to, and that as a virtue ethicist, yeah, batteries died. Yeah, let's just hear what you have to say about the virtue ethicist.
I reject both consequentialism as a virtue ethicist as well as hedonism as being sufficient to define what could be considered good or preferable.
Yeah, okay, so you're going to say that, so basically you're saying the antinatalist can't be a virtue ethicist, right? Really, that's what you're saying. And that's when I decided to go to your link, the Stanford link, and type in virtue ethics. And what does it have to say about, well, it gives a little example. Yeah, basically it's saying there has to be some virtue in the act in order for it to be sufficient. But, okay, Stanford link. Suppose it is obvious that someone in need should be helped. A utilitarian will point to the fact that the consequences of doing so will maximize well-being. A deontologist to the fact that in doing so, the agent will be acting in accordance with a moral rule, such as do unto others as you would be done by. And a virtue ethicist to the fact that helping the person would be charitable or benevolent. So, yeah, so you're saying that, well, as a matter of fact, if we were to apply this, apply your line of reasoning towards antinatalism and put that in here, it would read, a virtue ethicist would point out that, well, being in need's not that bad, and that the person in need is basic, durable, and independent. So we should just let that person pull themselves up by the bootstraps so they can feel virtuous. All right. So, yeah, that's how you would apply that. Your line of reasoning with antinatalism to this situation. So yeah, basically you're saying you're dismissing any chance that the antinatalist can be a virtue ethicist, when in fact I would say just on its face antinatalists are virtue ethicists. It is virtuous not to put someone in harm's way for your own pleasure. So yeah. Okay, last comment. Quoting me, when you're born, you're not that durable or independent. But I grow up to be. So what? Doesn't mean that everybody's going to grow up to be. And I can persevere and even find value in the existence of suffering in my life. Yeah, and maybe not. You say, that was my point. It may have been your point. It's not, first of all, it's not a very good point, but it's not what you said. Then you say, talk about straw men. That's the 3 comments, and on we go.